right, they're Latin too. So let's take a look actually at the page 163 because there's a few words in there that you need to know before going on to chapter 43 at the baths. So first off, there were public baths which were open to everybody. Those are called the thermae. And obviously it's a Greek word because it's a th, and it means the hot places. And then there's the balneae, and that's for the rich people. Okay, so even back then, especially back then perhaps. No, especially now. And those are different baths. So you will find a tepidarium when you go in. It's a warm room. And of course, that's after you go through the apoditerium. The apoditerium is the locker room, the changing room. And that's going to be first. So you go in, you're in the vestibulum, and then you go into the apoditerium, you get dressed, there's guys walking around naked offering financial advice and oranges. And then you can go from there into the tepidarium. Everybody pretty much goes there first. Then you can go into the calidarium, which is the hot room, calidarium, or caldarium, I apologize. And then you can go from there into the frigidarium. Now, you could do that, or you could just go from the tepidarium, which is where you get tepid, by the way, and you can just go into the palaestrum. But you go to the caldarium, then you go to the frigidarium. And so you go to this room where it's extremely hot, very, very, very steamy, and then you move on to the super cold room, which is kept cold, which you think about what that entails in ancient times. There's a lot of slave labor. And you go into the cold bath, and it's I got to tell you, going from a super hot bath to a super cold bath is a mind job. It really does take you to a different place for about 30 seconds. But then you can go out into the palaestra, which is the exercise yard. This is where it's technically the gymnastics area, but it's just an outside exercise yard. And it's very nice. There's different games, different stations that you could play things. One is rapra, which essentially is just like catch the ball from each other, or maybe you're playing keep away. There's also harpastum, which is medicine ball work. Okay, so you'd be throwing the heavy ball toward each other. And there's also trigon, which I imagine is going to be similar to like playing tips, like you might have done in elementary school. And then there's other places where men can wrestle. They're doing the act of luctari. Luctari, which is to wrestle. And there's others who decide, no, I'm going to do the Wing Chun dummy over there with the sword. That's the paulus. And so that's a fencing post, and you're doing different blows and stuff with the different weapons. And then after you're done, you go into a room where a slave will rub you down with oil, and then they would rub sand on you after that, and that of course works to exfoliate. And so they take this unguentum and they rub it into you, and then you sit there for a little bit, let it seep in. Remember, you've just been sweaty and all that. Then you put this oil on you, and then they take a strigil, which is called a strigilis in Latin, and it's essentially a scraper. And if you take a look at page 167, you'll see what they look like, and you basically scrape that off of you, and then they can towel you down, and you know that way you're no longer greasy, and that's called a linteum. It's where we get the word lint from. And so that's basically how the baths worked. So that is all the vocab that's on that page. Go ahead and read page 163. Then read page 171 through 173. And I will catch you for the second half of your glossary. All right, I'm going to hit the button.